Hello, this is Jake B-Man. We're in an odd spot today. We are in my honey dungeon where I'm finishing up my most recent batch of creamed honey. My creamed honey video showed you how to mix it, but I really didn't talk about how to finish it. Finishing creamed honey, you really need to keep it at 55 degrees Fahrenheit and pretty dang close to that, plus or minus just a few degrees. Because at 55, crystallization is maximized. The most crystallization that can happen occurs at that temperature. And we want our honey to set rapidly so it has a uniform crystal. If you go above or below that temperature, it slows down that process and you can have erratic crystal size formed. Now, this is just a run-of-the-mill dorm miniature fridge. I don't remember where I got it from. It is scratched up and beaten up. It still works fine. It has the normal controller inside of it that turns it on and off at certain temperatures, but the temperatures fridges and refrigerators are built for are well under 55 degrees. So we need to actually operate this thing at a much higher temperature than its normal controller would allow. That's what this thing is for. Now this is my thermal controller. This is an inkbird ITC 308. There are lots of manufacturers that make similar devices. That's just the one I happen to use. You do need a refrigeration controller. A lot of the thermal controllers on the market are for heating applications like incubators. You need one that also does cooling like horticultural applications. The way I use this to control the fridge is I have the fridge set to chill at some low temperature using the controller the fridge came with. Inside of the door here, slammed on the end of this little wire, is a thermocouple, a little metal piece that tells this controller what the temperature is inside the box. And I've programmed this controller to turn the fridge on by just plugging the fridge into the controller's power output anytime this thing gets over 56 degrees. So what will happen is as it gets up to 56, power's turned on, fridge turns on, temperature goes down to 54 because that's where I have it set to turn off at, and the fridge just parks around 55 degrees, giving me a real uniform crystal set. Now this fridge will hold about 35 packages of creamed honey, and that's my seed bucket there that is setting. If you have a batch larger than this, this technique scales up to any size refrigerator you want to use. You can use a deep freeze for this. You can use a standard fridge for this. If you have too much for the fridge you're using, just take that stuff and put it in a freezer. Once the honey gets below a certain temperature, it's no longer inclined to do anything. It won't crystallize or anything. You can hold it there until you're ready to put it into this thing. When I made this batch, I had about 8 pounds too much to fit in here. They're in a deep freeze, and they'll go in here as I cycle my next batch through this 55 degree fridge. Now a 55 degree fridge allows you to crystallize the honey pretty dang reliably with a pretty uniform crystal set. Now before I set this up, when I would first make cream honey, I would just find a cool spot in my basement, someplace around 55 degrees. That works for a while, but you're going to get a much more uniform set with this kind of setup. Some beekeepers use wine fridges because they're set to that higher temperature. They're expensive. With this, we've shown a way to set up a 55 degree fridge with a $30 controller and the cheapest fridge you can find. And with that, I think we've shown you how to set up a cheap creaming fridge to make your own creamed honey products. And I'll say good luck and happy beaking.